Hello, 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 and welcome back. Welcome back after a few days off to the Coronacast Comedy Show. How you doing? How you doing? Delisa Chaponda in the house. You are right. You are right. I've got open cabinets. Let me close the cabinets so that I do not put off those of you who are a little bit OCD. And indeed, the panda is not around. Let me put the panda by the cornflakes. Okay, now we're ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Coronacast Comedy Show. It's not been around for a few days because we are now in an interim place. Now, for those of you who's never watched, this is a show where I, Delisa Chaponda, a comedian who did not have crowds available because of the coronavirus, instead entertained you, people of the internet. Now we're in a sort of interim place where comedy is not back, but comedy is sort of back. So there are social distance shows, there are Zoom shows, there are things which I am doing, which is why I'm not broadcasting every day anymore. But at the same time, it's very up and down. Last week, 2 of my shows were canceled. In the next week, 1 of my shows were canceled. So it'll still be appearing here and then, but it will not be on a regular schedule. I have shows tomorrow and the next day in Grimsby, the day after and the day after that in London, Kentish Town. So this could be the only Coronacast broadcast, but I am not going to leave you without comedy because I have found an old DVD of a show which I did in Zimbabwe many years ago when I was equally funny, but I was thinner. So you get to see some thin, funny Deliso. I've converted it to MP4. I'm going to cut up some of the jokes, and each of the days I'm going to release some stand-up for you to keep you entertained. And also, with all the cancellations of last week, it's entirely possible I will be Corona casting. But anyway, enough of that. Enough of that explaining the situation. It's been an interesting week. Before we get on, like Manchester, there's been a little, I live in Manchester, and there's been some debate about Manchester going into tier 3 and the mayor of Manchester not being able to make a deal with Boris Johnson, right? And so the discussions just fell apart. I bet there's probably someone who works in the EU administration who messaged Andy Burnham. Yeah, you try to discuss with Boris Johnson. How you doing? I don't know what's going on behind me. Hello, Chelsea in the back. Hi. Oh, she's adding extra stuff. Okay. Now, before I get started, so anybody should know, today's episode is jokes written on subjects which came up in the last Coronacast. Because in the last Coronacast, I asked you all, what have I never talked about? And we all kind of discussed subjects I had never talked about, and that's what this episode's jokes are going to be about. So before we get started, let me just take a look in the chat. As always, be a very responsive audience. Chat back, right? LOL, ask questions, because otherwise I'm just a maniac in a kitchen. I'm that anyway, but here we go. Hello to you, Sarah Hall. Good to have you in the house. Hello, Sean. Good to have you. Glad you can hear me fine. Sarah Hall, I am reading your mind. Indeed, you were wondering where the panda was. Hello to you, Daniel Moore. Good to have you, and good to have somebody who works for the NHS in the house. Thank you to you for sure. Okay. Hello, Michaela Evans. Good to have you. Oh, you were in Leicester. It was a wonderful show, and it had Reg D. Hunter on it. And I got to tell you, I can't believe it. He's even funnier than he was before the pandemic. But I actually think this is what you're going to see in the tours next year. Comedians are going to be funnier than we've ever been before, because usually we don't have a lot of time to create our tours. So sometimes it's 60% great jokes and then some filler. But as we've all been sitting at home, those comedians who have not been lazy and wasting their time watching Netflix, those of them who have been writing jokes are going to have crazy ass shows, because I've seen Reggie Hunter many times, and some of the stuff he did was even better. And he's always been brilliant. So it's definitely worth checking out. Hello. The video image is much better than usual. That's very good to know. Well, excellent. It must just be a good bandwidth today. Let's check what's going on. Oh, the blue elephant. Rehan Fernandez says there's a blue elephant in the room. Is this the new mascot trying to take Panda's position?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Chelsea's blue elephant. I think she calls it Ganesh. Okay, what else do we have in the house? We've got Tricky Fun in the house. Hello, Tricky. And hello, are we for lockdown or against? Is Trump not locking down bad and Boris locking down bad? Trudy, I have no idea, Kamabatiti. I think it all depends. I think part of the problem in the UK is that they're doing a system where different areas get different tiers, right? And the actual pushback in Manchester is not on the idea of locking down. It's that locking down without financial support is not the same as locking down. So in the first lockdown, there was financial support. So your businesses have to close, but we're going to support you financially. And then there was a little bit of a disagreement right now with the amount of money which they're going to infuse if we go into tier 3. This is all very boring, but you asked the question. Now, to the jokes. Ladies and gentlemen, first subject which was requested last episode was religious cults. Religious cults. Have to think about religious cults. I did some reading about religious cults, and it's very interesting because the kind of people who always end up joining religious cults are usually people who have just come out of a bad situation, people who are feeling uncertain, people who are insecure and looking for direction. And I realized this is the same criteria I used to pick out my dates, right? And it actually made me realize I've failed in relationships very often. Maybe what I need to do is I need to behave more like the leader of a cult. And then I will have rewarding relationships. So some of the things which are common in cults is they make very vague, bizarre predictions, right? Things like Jesus is coming back and he's bringing dragons. I don't know, just really bizarre. No, trust me on this. Like there's actually, I was reading up some of the cults. A lot of the cults have really weird predictions, and that's what sucks people in. But it's also got to be imminent. You can't be like, Jesus is coming in the next 100 years. It's got to be, it's coming in the next 3 years, right? For people to do cult activity and, you know, join you in orgies and things like that. No one's going to have an orgy with you for something that's happening in 100 years. But if you're like, you've got 3 years to have sex with me and purify yourself. I've never fully understand the logic, but somehow they do it. If you look at the Heaven's Gate cult, if you look at all of these cults, this is their MO. Something horrible is coming in the next 1 or 2 years. I am the person, the divine source who can save you, and you have to talk to me. And this is what I've realized. I need to adopt the same thing in relationships. I need to make the women terrified, right? I need to frighten them, and I need to convince them that I am the only one who can save you. And it has to be rather bizarre. So I need to approach a woman somewhat gullible, somewhat in a tough place in her life, and I need to observe that, oh my Lord, you're slowly turning into a butterfly, right?
Who?
You, Chelsea, you're turning into a butterfly, right? I've seen the early signs that you are turning into a butterfly, and I am the only person who can stop this metamorphosis. Yeah.
I was just eating soup. What's happening?
She was eating soup, but now she's slowly turning into a butterfly. As you see, the pitch needs some honing. It needs some refining, because my first subject has been met with incredulity rather than terror of turning into a butterfly. Okay?
Butterflies are so nice.
Butterflies are so nice. You're right. I need to choose a creature that people don't want to turn into, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing? I see 1 or 2 people in the chat would believe me and would happily go along. Hello. Jacqueline Boyan says, you're not OCD. You don't care about the cabinet, but the cornflakes have been opened upside down. The horror. Oh, that's true, actually. The cornflakes have been opened upside down. Let's turn them right, but will that make it all open?
Yeah, no, she put it that way to close it.
Okay, there we go. Cornflakes are now the right way up. Okay, let's see what else is going on here. You don't know, you just watched the Corona update thing. Boris was on, you heard There's going to be tier 3 on Friday. That is indeed 2, but there's a lot of discussion. Why no super chat random videos? I think YouTube, I've had a trouble giving them my bank details, so I need to reactivate the super chat. Thank you so much for wishing to donate some money. Unfortunately, currently, the only way to do it is by either becoming a Patreon at, let me put up the link, at patreon.com/DelisoTraponda, or tipping me at Ko-fi.com. But hopefully in the next few days, Super Chat will be back. Okay, let's keep going from religious cults, to the next subject, which somebody asked me to talk about, which was home design. Very bizarre. Home design, interior design, trying to maximize the feng shui of your home and so on and so forth. And it leads me to wonder, is this a purely modern phenomenon, right? Is this something that we only started caring about in the last 50, 100 years? Or has it always been the case? If you go to early man, Neanderthal time, right? Were there certain cavemen who had better interior cave design than others, right? Was there one Neanderthal, one Australopithecus who everybody used to visit because they're just like, wow, look how he put the rocks in the corner of the cave? In terms of interior design, the weirdest person I've ever dealt with was my brother's ex-wife. Now, my brother's ex-wife, I was making jokes about people who are a little bit OCD. This woman was very anal to the point of like totally controlling about where everything in her house was. It did look beautiful. It looked beautiful, but you could not move anything. I would rather visit somebody who is a bit messy and you can move some things around, or than somebody who everything looks beautiful, but if you move it 2 inches, she's like, how could you move it? How could you move it? And this was not a mindset that was compatible with having children, because children are going to move stuff. You cannot control the little kids, right? But personally, this is what I realized about myself. I care so little that my ideal world is to just pay someone to do it, right? Pay someone to make my space look beautiful. Pay someone to do my laundry. Pay someone to do. There's so many things that I want to pay people to do that I've realized that I have got the mindset of aristocracy, but I have got the budget of serfdom, right? So I am dreaming of a butler, but I can barely afford a mate. You know what I mean? Like this, I need to upgrade to the aristocracy that my ambitions deserve, ladies and gentlemen. And that is what you are going to help me with. I am going on tour next year, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned it. And one of the things which I will mention before going on is usually when I'm about to go on tour, I have many previews where you try out the jokes. Because that is not really possible now, I'm going to do 10 Zoom previews, okay? 10 Zoom previews, which is going to be my new 90-minute show, 90 minutes of jokes, which I've been developing since March, right? I'm going to do them 10 different times on Zoom, and they're going to be Zoom tickets on sale, or people who are Patreons will be able to get a free time to watch it. The details will come out in the next few days. Do check it out. It won't be like this where I'm just talking. These are honed jokes, rewritten, smashing, all right? So keep your eyes out for Apocalypse Not Now 10 Zoom previews. Okay, let's keep going. Next subject, which someone asked me to talk about. You asked me to talk about some of the weirdest subject, ladies and gentlemen. I was asked to talk about a midlife crisis. Midlife crisis. Now, I'm 40, okay? I know I don't look 40 because black don't crack, ladies and gentlemen, right? But I'm 40, and I've been having some bizarre behavior, some bizarre emotions that I started to think maybe I'm having a midlife crisis. But at the same time, we are currently going through a global crisis, right? Because of the pandemic. So it's very difficult to know which of my behavior, which of my bizarre behavior is because of my midlife crisis and which of my bizarre behavior is because of my global crisis, right? And a lot of them are the same, right? Because what are the things you do? What are the things you do when you are going through a midlife crisis, right? Move in with a 20-year-old. Okay, now look, this was entirely unplanned, but I've got a 20-year-old over here, right?
Excuse me?
Well, 20 something.
Yeah.
20-ish?
More than that.
20. Okay, she's older than she seems. Okay, next up,
I told you my age and you didn't believe me. Have you already forgotten?
24. 25?
Don't say it on camera.
I won't say it on camera, ladies and gentlemen. I won't say it on camera. Is this because of
than I seem, apparently.
She's older than she seems? Is it because of the midlife crisis or is it because of the pandemic? Okay, this is the question. Who here in the chat is going through some kind of a crisis? Let me know the evidence, right? Now, one of the things you're meant to do is you're meant to get a fancy car, right? Get a fancy car if you're going through a midlife crisis. I do not have the budget for a Lamborghini, so I've got a fancy new toaster, okay? That is how I'm expressing my midlife crisis, okay? What else? What other things happen if you're going through a midlife crisis? Let us know what else happens in the midlife crisis, and I can take a look and see if I am exhibiting these things. You finally caught my live, Callum Rigg. Welcome to the chat. It's just chit chat. If you have any questions, ask away. You're very welcome, Callum. Good to have in the house. Elephant and the panda look like they're friends. They are friends, I imagine. How are we doing? Excellent, excellent. You can't wait for the Zoom shows. Yes, there will be a lot of fun, ladies and gentlemen. Careful, Deliso. Nasty. Nasty is a good thing, not a bad thing. Also, you have 25 on each leg. You also have 25 on each leg. Oh, each of your legs is 25. And now I understand what you're saying. Excellent, excellent. If you consider trying to balance university work and personal project, a midlife crisis, no, Callum, actually, that's quite the opposite. You're being very responsible. It would be a midlife crisis if you had suddenly started smoking weed for the first time in your life. You had left a relationship and now were with a much younger person. If you were wearing different clothes, you suddenly started walking down the street with a leather jacket and tight pants. That, my friend, is midlife crisis behavior. So you are safe. Sarah Hall, publishing a book is not considered a midlife crisis. That is a midlife evolution. Okay, let's keep going, ladies and gentlemen. And what else do we have in the bucket? Okay, next thing we're going to talk about is the universe. The universe. Now, the universe is vast. Okay. And when you talk to people, scientists, about whether there are aliens, whether aliens exist, often one of the things that people argue is that there must be aliens because the universe is so vast, right? There are 1 trillion planets in the universe. So surely one must have a sign of life. This is similar to what I tell myself before logging on Tinder, right? There are millions of single women. Surely one of them will be the match. And then I start swiping like crazy. All right. But there are some interesting facts about the universe that you might not know. You know, the Milky Way. You may have seen these beautiful images of the spiral Milky Way. None of those is an actual picture of the Milky Way. Because we are in the Milky Way, there's no way we can get like a camera outside the Milky Way, telescope outside the Milky Way, and take a picture of the Milky Way. So every single image you have seen of the Milky Way is a lie. Every single picture you've seen of the Milky Way is false advertising. It is either an artist's rendering or it is a picture of another spiral galaxy that's sort of like the Milky Way, saying that this is sort of what we look like. But as you know, you can't trust anything you see on the internet. I guarantee you that the Milky Way, the actual Milky Way, will be revealed in the future to be fatter than we imagine, with glasses and acne. So that's what I've got to say about the universe. Next up, we're going to talk about social media stars. Social media stars. Before that, let's get looking at the chat. Zoom is great. Can you repeat the links? Oh, I've not yet put the links out. So what's going to happen is the next day or two, there's going to be the Zoom thing where you can. It's going to be like a cheap ticket price, something like £2. You can buy a slot, but if you are a Patreon already, you'll get an automatic link for the Zoom thing. I think that's how it's going to go. My agent's arranging it, so I'm not entirely sure how it's going to work. Actually, the next subject applies to the following, Chelsea, because somebody asked me to talk about social media stars, and Chelsea is now becoming a TikTok star. Okay, I'm very happy for her. But you've got to understand the problem, okay? For people to make TikTok videos, they need to get a short video, like 1 minute long, and then they need to edit it again and again and again and again. So now I am being tortured by short sounds repeated 500 times as she edits it and makes it. Yes, it makes it, but I have to listen to this stuff all the time. I have started to sing this stuff. I'm walking down the street and I'm just saying, I'm singing nonsense, right? And I am being tortured by these short things again and again and again. I think I need to start my own TikTok, which is me just breaking down with frustration as I hear these same tunes again and again and again. And the TikTok is just me whacking my head again. And I'm like, not again, not that sound again, for the love of God, play something new. But more power to her. You should follow her on TikTok. It's Chelsea Hart is me. Okay.
Chelsea like the football club, and then Hart, H-A-R-T, like Kevin Hart.
So she said Chelsea like the football team and Hart like Kevin Hart. And yes, you didn't know that. She's related to Kevin Hart. That's why they're both funny.
Exactly.
Yeah. She's his sister from another mister. Okay, here we go. What's this going on? Here you go. How are you doing? Callum Riggs says, bro, Tinder never worked for me. Every girl I know gets 99 matches and you sat here on 10. Yes, my friend, it definitely is. Women get more matches, but at the same time, 10's all you need. Because think about it. Of your 10 matches, all you need is one good match. What's the point of getting 99 matches if all of them are thirsty pervs sending you dick pics? You may be better with your 10 than some woman with 99. So enjoy your 10, date your 10, and good luck on the hunt. Michaela Evans says, you're too close to 30. While you're 29, you don't want to turn 30. Michaela, you're looking at it all wrong. Turning 30 is wonderful. Aging is actually wonderful because every day you know more about yourself. You're more confident. You're more powerful, hopefully more successful. Aging is fantastic. Well, I say this at 40. Maybe when I'm turning 70, I'll be like, aging is terrible. But so far, I've loved aging. If I look at myself at 30 or myself at 20, I am a better version of a human being. Okay. Yes, I had more hair, but now I've got more wisdom and skills. Okay, here we go. Who is Kevin Hart, says Jacqueline Boylan.
What?
No, a lot of people don't know Kevin Hart. What? You're American. Okay, Kevin Hart is a comedian. He's a very funny comedian and actor. You probably would recognize him if you've watched Hollywood blockbusters. But he's in Jumanji and a bunch of stuff like that. What would you say is the definitive Kevin Hart movie to watch? Think Like a Man or something like that. Anyway, that's who he is. That's who he is. A famous American comedian.
It's also, if you're British, like Miranda Hart.
Like Miranda Hart. Like Miranda Hart. This is true. So I spelled cannabis wrong. Oh dear, I spelled cannabis wrong. Somebody suggested that I talk about cannabis and I spelled it wrong. So first of all, let's fix it. So cannabis is spelt. I like that you know how to spell it. Clearly, you have ordered it many a time. How do you spell cannabis? 1 N, 2 B. How do you spell cannabis, people? Because I put 2 N's and 1 B. Is it this? Is it this? That doesn't look right. How do I spell cannabis, people? How do you spell cannabis? Oh, cannabis. What did I do?
Canvas.
I didn't. I put I's instead of an A, so it's CANNA. Cannabis. Is that right? Cannabis? Is that right? Cannabis? Okay, we've got the correct spelling of cannabis. We can proceed. Any of you who are making any online orders or looking to make a big order on the dark web, make sure you spell it right, because say what you will about drug dealers, they are very anal about spelling. Okay, so let's keep going, ladies and gentlemen. On the subject of cannabis, I would like to bring up Malawi Gold. Okay, Malawi Gold is the cannabis. It's the weed which is grown in Malawi, particularly in the Salima region, and it is some of the rarest weed in the world. Okay, and I actually read. Now, first of all, let's just say this: Malawi has very good weed, which we call Malawi Gold, but our economy is terrible. Our economy would be much better if we had actual gold, right? But at least we've got weed. Now, this is a description of Malawi Gold as described on a website for people who are connoisseurs of weed. Leafly describes a legendary strain that has grown naturally in Malawi for generations. Its morphology remains consistent, uniform, and adaptable. It is perhaps the rarest cannabis in the world. Now, I don't smoke or sell cannabis, but as a Malawian, it makes me feel proud, right? Isn't it weird how you feel proud about stuff that has nothing to do with you? Like, if you don't, I don't watch netball, right? I have no interest in netball, but the Malawi team is amazing, and it makes me go, yes, yes, Malawi, we're the best. Even though I have no particular personal interest. Patriotism is a weird thing because you often are proud of things which you personally have no interest in. If you are someone who hates watching football, you still get some kind of joy out of your team being the best football team in the world, right? If you are somebody who never goes into the outdoors, you never climb mountains, you still get some kind of weird, perverse thrill out of the fact that everybody else admires how beautiful the mountains are in your country. It makes no sense, but I am proud of Malawi Gold, even though I've never smoked it. Anybody watching? If you've smoked it, tell me your own personal review of Malawi Gold. I am someone who does not smoke anything because I like to stay in control. Okay, penultimate subject. I've been asked to talk about cats and dogs. This has got to be the subject I have the least interest in whatsoever. I have no interest in telling jokes about cats and dogs. There are lots of comedians who do talk about it, so it was kind of hard for me to talk about because I'm like, I'm not a pet person. What am I meant to do? So the first thing I was thinking about is cats have fallen a lot in the estimation of the planet, because there was a time when cats were worshipped as deities. So can you imagine? You go from being a god or goddess to people leaving out leftovers for you. Oh, no wonder cats always look pissed off, right? They have fallen from grace. The Egyptians in particular, they had Madfet and Bast. Now looking at dogs never were worshipped, but they still were in the religious mix over there, right? There was a colonial Aztec god of death that was a dog-headed monster, right? So it had the body of a man, but it had the face of a dog. So there's a little bit of dog in the house. And then also in Chinese tradition, there is a dragon dog, right? Dragon dog is impressive. And if I could say one thing that would have made Game of Thrones better, imagine Khaleesi, instead of having dragons, had dragon dogs barking at everybody. Sean Alexander's enjoying that. You can't feed cats leftovers, apparently, says Jacqueline. You can't feed cats leftovers? Was I totally wrong? Then what do you give them? What do you give cats? Guess you can't give them leftovers. Whoa, they're very definitely mistreating the cats in African countries, I've seen them climbing into bins and eating leftovers. So what are you meant to feed the cats, Jacqueline? Let us know. Final subject for today, ladies and gentlemen, is TV repeats. TV repeats. And I was thinking about how nowadays a lot of people take issue with some of the content in the repeated television programs of yesteryear, right? So they're old programs which people nowadays find are inappropriate, or they find them racist. The biggest thing is, I feel that a lot of the young people nowadays feel that they need to like the main characters in shows of the past, right? There've been a lot of people, and I'm not saying everybody, but there are a lot of young people going on about how the characters of Friends were terrible people. They were mean people. They were mean to each other. And then also Archie Bunker in All in the Family was loud, outspoken, and bigoted. There's so many shows where people talk about how the characters are not acceptable to 2020 standards and so on and so forth. But I don't think you understand how stories work. We're not meant to like the main character. We're meant to be interested in the story. I mean, I don't know if you've ever watched The Godfather or The Sopranos, right? These are murderers and rapists and killers. You would not want to hang out with these people, right? You're just interested in the story. Broken people make for a much better story than a bunch of perfect people. Bunch of perfect people, boring. That's why the hardest person to write a story about is Superman, right? Superman can fly, right? He can not damaged by anything, and he's always righteous. This is very boring to write a story. But if he gave Superman like an alcoholism and he's suicidal, right? But he can't kill himself because he's Superman, and he what else? He's make him very lecherous. Right, make Superman very lecherous. He's looking at all the women with his X-ray vision, which turns him on. He can't control himself, right? And so he's saving. Look, I'm just saying, the more we make him messed up, the more mental problems we give to Superman, the better the story is. I'm not saying you want to live with him. I'm saying we want to watch interesting stories. And if you want perfect people in your entertainment, you're going to have very boring entertainment. Have perfect people in your life and have imperfect people in entertainment. I'd even go further and say don't have perfect people in your life. Because if you have perfect friends, you got to be perfect too. I've done a joke in the past, which I'll do again just to end the show. Because it's totally true. I want to cut off some of my friends. Right? Because a lot of my friends, too positive, too successful. Every time I meet them, feel like crap. You know, your friend who's always at the gym, your friend who's always eating healthy. You need to get rid of these self-righteous bastards, replace them with crackheads. Yeah. Wouldn't it be great to have a crackhead friend? You're having a bad day, you feel like a failure, you got a headache, you just call crackhead Gary. And just like Gary, I had a tough day today. What did you do? And Gary's like, I needed money. I sucked a dick. No matter what was going on in your life, you would be like, I am not doing so bad. I'm going to call you again tomorrow, Gary. Definitely, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the Coronacast Comedy Show. I cannot guarantee when it will be on next because I have gigs all of this week. I have gigs on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So it may be back next week, but either way, I'm going to put up on my YouTube channel comedy videos, short comedy videos from the vault. So I'm looking through my old performances, and I will not have proper Coronacast, but we're going to have clips of my old performances up instead every day of this week. So, the same time you would tune into the Coronacast, go check out my YouTube channel because I'll be uploading some jokes. So thank you so much. And also with all of the Corona cancellations, it's entirely possible there might be another Coronacast this week if any of my gigs is pulled. Hopefully not. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back. Ciao. Lovely, lovely, lovely.